Hello, amazing coaches. Welcome to a brand new format of the podcast. And I'm so excited to have this week's guest on. She's a listener just like you. And I'm excited to kick off what I'm calling the live coaching audit sessions. And so I've invited Karen on the show. We've chit chatted on Instagram over, I don't know, the course of the last years. I know kind of have a vague familiarity with her mission and purpose on this earth. And she was just the person I thought would be great to kickstart this episode. So first off, I just want to say welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. So let's go over the format for you as the listeners. The live coaching audits are just what I hope they sound like. We're going to be auditing her business. And so we're going to be looking at some of the gaps inside of her business. I'm going to be asking her lots of questions, picking her brain, seeing where her struggles are, and giving some feedback based on obviously the many coaches I've coached, my own coaching experience, so that she can leave today's conversation with immediate action steps to move the needle forward in her business. And if this is something you would love to do, if you want to be in Karen's seat at some point, we're going to be having one of these episodes per month on the show. And so I'd love for you to fill out the application. And if you want to do that, you can head on over to amanda-walker.com/live coaching. And you'll see the application there. It helps me know about your business to make sure you're a best fit for the episode, but I want to serve as many people as possible. So Karen is our amazing, lucky woman to be able to kickstart with us today. So I'd love for you to first start just to tell us a little bit about your business, who you serve, what your goals are. Just tell us whatever comes to mind for you, and then we're going to jump in after that.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. So my name is Karen and I am a finance coach, and my niche is to help couples get on the same financial page. And this comes from 100% experience and 100% truth, because it took my husband and I 18 years to get on the same financial page. And when we did, that hope that I had that this is amazing. And this, I cannot be the only person experiencing this. So that's where my real niche is. So I offer a money mindset course for couples. And I also offer a budget makeover. So I just want to start out really offering those two services. And I've trialed it on a few friends, and it's gone really well. And I love the money mindset course for couples, because I really, and I'm not bragging when I say this, I really have made a difference in their lives. And it's just awesome to be in the same room as them when they're talking about money and they're planning their future and they're looking at the budget together. And I know that they've never done that before. So for me, that's really exciting. And I'm just passionate about helping couples get on the same financial page.
I love it. I mean, I relate, when Justin and I were in our financial mess and deep debt. I mean, that moment of time in our lives, while it felt like an eternity to get on that same page to be forward thinking, has been so instrumental in being able to, not live paycheck to paycheck and
Yeah.
be very clear on our values and priorities around money and grow wealth as well. So I no doubt know that like this service is needed, and there's testament already of many people out there doing something similar. So that's always a great market check, by the way.
Yes. Yes.
Um, if you already know people are doing it, it's definitely validates a proof of need in the market, and so that is one great way to see as well.
Mm.
Um, so I'm going to ask some questions around that just to get
Yeah.
some clarity.
Yeah.
When you say be in the room with people, obviously you've walked your friends through it, but how are you primarily serving people? Is it in person only? Is it online? Is it hybrid? Tell me more about that.
So it can be both. I've helped my friends in person because they are like 5 minutes walk away. But
Sure.
my aim is to help clients online, like over Zoom. Excuse me.
Okay, perfect. And when you say money mindset course, again, just to clarify, is that exclusively self-paced, they walk through it, or is it this hybrid of coaching / coursework that they consume?
So I meet with them, and it could be weekly or bi-weekly or every month, depending on, one spouse may be reluctant or overwhelmed when it comes to talking about money. So I don't want to overwhelm them too much. So I have like a little workbook that I sit down and work with them together. and then sometimes I give them some prep
Perfect.
to do.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, just that language to course, um, I would say is downplaying it because you're really
Okay.
coaching them. And
Okay.
so that's one opportunity. I already see some naming convention to play with a little bit within that. And then
Okay.
the budget offering you mentioned, is that just a passive product? Or are you doing any coaching along with that?
So I'm yeah definitely coaching. So it's kind of like a 40 minute to an hour, just working. They bring the numbers, I bring the spreadsheet, and we just complete it together. And it just opens their eyes to see where the gaps are, where they need to make a few changes.
Yeah. And what did you call that?
Budget makeover.
Okay, I thought you said makeover. I just want to make sure I write all these things down. Okay, excellent. So this gives us a really great kind of snapshot of what's happening in your business without looking at messaging yet, how you're communicating or where you're finding clients. So when I look at this, I'm like, there's two offers. And I always look, Karen, at like an ascension model in business. And
Mm.
so what I'm looking at is if you imagine, an upside down triangle or pyramid, like a funnel essentially,
Yeah, yeah.
at the top, what we're going to start talking about is how we're funneling people in. But ultimately, what
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the offers to make sense so that if you have one offer, two offers, that those offers easily flow from one to the next. So clearly, I think that it's very logical that somebody could work with you on a budget makeover, and if they are part of a couple, then the upsell could be to come into this next, bit of coaching, which is your couples kind of coursework that you mentioned. So far, I'm liking the flow of those things, and I like that the budget makeover is a small bite
Mm-hmm.
investment, I'm assuming, to
Yes,
get like a little taste of coaching with you that
yes,
gives you that opportunity to go to the next level. So those
yeah,
all signs are great. So
yeah,
now let's go into your question or your struggle.
yeah.
I'll let you say it, but you kind of filled in the application. Tell me where you think you're struggling specifically.
I am struggling specifically on the area of I have had no paying clients yet.
Excellent. Not excellent, but like great question. This is a common question, common struggle. So I'm excited to coach you around it and like crack it open so that we can get some, you know, uh, a step, a pathway created for you to go
Mhm.
next. Okay, so I want to ask, what are you doing right now to attract clients or to find clients? What are the things that you've been doing?
Okay, my top things are I've been on about 8 podcasts, and actually tomorrow another podcast is being released, and the host says that he has like 2,000 listeners. So I'm hoping that might make a bit of a difference. I know that my other podcasts have been small audiences. I also write a blog. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I currently have 54 people on my email list. Um, and
Awesome.
and so I also offer freebies. I have like an ebook called How to Get on the Same Financial Page as Your Spouse. I've also got some money conversation starters. I also offer an Excel, I call it a super simple Excel spreadsheet, not easy to say. Um, and and it's made for people who are overwhelmed about budgeting, and they have different funnels. So when you click on that freebie, a different email segment will go out. So
Mm. Okay,
and
cool.
they will all like lead to over 5 or 6 emails to like a different product, like the money makeover or the money mindset course. And then I have a weekly email as well that goes out. And
Okay.
so and I
Okay,
also
cool.
so I write a blog,
So,
and I also do guest blogs as well.
okay, on other people's blogs, just to specify.
Yes. Yeah.
Not guests on your blog. Okay.
No.
Um, well, when I hear you say these things, I'm like, yes, you're checking so many great boxes. So there is a consistent effort to increase your visibility outside and extend your network. You're growing your email list.
Yeah.
You're on other social media channels. And so I'm starting top down in your funnel. So the first level would be what I call the free place. Like this is a place where anybody can consume your content and
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily raise a hand publicly and say, "Hey Karen, I'm here, like I'm interested." But they
Yeah.
could be what I call a voyeur of your content. So they could passively look at your posts on Facebook, social media, LinkedIn, they could read your blog, And those are all beautiful things. They could listen to your podcast. We want all of those. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, where are they going after that? Right. And so now we go into the second thing you mentioned, which is that freebie consumption potential. And so now they can go in and we hit that second tier, which is the value piece,
Yeah.
where now I'm saying, hey, I have this thing for you. And the way you get it is by putting in your email, right? So, and what
Mm-hmm.
this is declaring energetically is, I want to learn more from Karen.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, those really, that's putting a hand up and saying, like, I'm a warmer lead. And so I think many of those pieces are in play. And so then when I hear you say that, the next question I have is, okay, people are in there. You've got an email list. But my next question is, what kind of conversations are you having with people? Are you selling to them? What are you saying when you sell? So tell me more about what that looks like. And let's just use the context of, let's talk about two contexts. On social media, what does that look like?
Okay, so I sometimes I
The
do
sales
reels.
component.
Yeah, so I do reels
Mhm.
and I create carousel posts where things like I want to add value, and I talk about spending triggers. I talk about why people need to budget. I talk
Awesome.
about how to talk to your spouse about money. I just give some top tips, and yeah, and then every now and again I do like here's my freebie. Click on this link, or then I
Call
say
to action. Mhm.
yeah, call to action, and then things like I've got this money mindset course. Here's a someone's written a referral for me. Click on here to ask more questions.
Okay. And then how does the selling look? When are you pitching an offer inside of your email sequence or to your email list? What does that look like?
Okay, so I try to add value for 3 out of the 4 emails I send, and then on the fourth email, I will try and sell something. And
Okay.
I even so I listened to quite a few podcasts, as you would understand, and one person said, "Here, they had a guest on, and they said, right, follow this pattern. You're going to make sales." So on my next fourth email, I followed the pattern. I really tailored it for my budget makeover. I had 47% open and 0 click on the link. So I was
Okay.
quite disappointed,
Okay.
but I tried it.
Yeah, sure. I just love that you're so pumped about just trying, and you're taking this passive action consumption of listening to other podcasts and then
Mm,
putting it into play. I think you're doing a lot of right things. And the reason I'm like continuing to ask questions is what we're trying to do is narrow down the gap. So
yes,
there's a
definitely.
gap somewhere, right? And so we got
Mm,
to figure out what's happening that's creating this misfire between what we're putting out there
mhm.
and what we are, why we're not getting any, responses quite yet. And that's a yet, because you will.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And when you give that call to action, I'm just curious,
Mm-hmm.
when you say that, when you followed that pattern or that suggestion, what did that call to action sound like?
It
Like,
so
what did it say? Book a call, buy the thing. What was it?
Yeah, so they were like I put at least 2 links in there, maximum 3, throughout the email, and that says, if you're interested in this budget makeover, and I make the text a bit bigger, I put it in a different color, I bold it, just give me, just hit reply because I'm at the other side of this email. Um, Very positive messages, I believe, and
Yeah.
and I just try to add a lot of value and then put in the
Okay.
links,
Okay.
and then
Okay. I love
always a
it.
PS, always a PS. Like,
Oh,
give me a
yep.
shout, hook up with me on social media, or just hit reply.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So when I hear you say all of these things, we're getting there. And here is what we have to understand about the psychology of the buying process and where I think your big opportunity is. I think there's a lot of coaches like you who come into this, and I think what looks right and normal is leveraging social media in this market. And, blogging is a great one, by the way. I'm going to talk about the blog here shortly. Um, and so we utilize those consistently. We create this brilliant content from our perspective. And then we're kind of like, well, why isn't it working? And the reason is because there's a lot of us doing the same thing there. And what we have to do is curate spaces and opportunities for our clients to come deeper into the value we provide so they can see you in live action. I'll give the best example I can. It was like I was at an event at a conference and I sat down next to this gentleman and just by chance. We were strangers. We started chit chatting. The conference went on and then he got up and left. And within 2 minutes, he was actually introduced and he was a speaker on the stage. And I'd been chit chatting with him the whole time. I had no idea. But
Yeah.
in that 2 minute instant, here's what happened it elevated him to expert status, right? It positioned him as an expert. The moment he stepped on the stage, right, it gives this validity and expert and authority
Yeah.
that didn't exist when he was just a stranger sitting next to me.
Yeah.
And so we want to think about how can we do that for you as well? How can we provide opportunities for our people um, to get learnings from us in an intentional way and really position ourselves as an authority and then put an offer out there that's very compelling.
Yeah.
And so, two things come up for me as an opportunity. I am such a fan of live workshops and webinars to do this because not all of us are in a position where we're ready or able or willing to go out and like step on somebody else's stage. So, we got to create our own. And the
Yeah.
fastest, easiest, most effective way to do that is to host webinars. And when that happens, we create our own stage, we add that value, and then we have the opportunity with warm bodies right in front of us to pitch
Mhm.
that service and offer to continue to take that next step.
Yeah.
Does that make sense so far? Any thoughts or questions?
Absolutely. 100%. Nope. 100%.
So, have you ever tried a webinar? I'm curious.
I have tried going live on Facebook in a few people's groups, including my own. I have, um, you'll laugh at this. I have a group that's got over 400 people in a Facebook group called No Spend Challenge 2024. So they're not going to buy from me because they're not spending this year. And then, but I just want to bring value. And it was kind of like my trial run. And then I went into other Facebook groups where they have like nearly 1,000 people in each group, but nobody turned up. But I just kind of like plodded along and went through my slides anyway, and I know it was there and under like the events tab if people wanted to see it. So, and as you know, I'm currently a teacher, so I'm got a I'm hoping to have a couple more lives lined up in the Easter break. But I haven't done a webinar. I did offer that in my email list. It said free webinar, get a handle on your finances for 2024. And again, there was no response at all. But it's something I've been thinking about.
And when you say you offered it and there was no response, did you give them a place to sign up, or how did when you
Yeah.
say no response, tell me what you mean by
Yeah, so
that?
I just said if you're interested in this free webinar, I'm going to be delivering it on this day at this time. Just hit reply and I'll send you the link.
Okay. And how many times did you invite them?
Oh yeah, I was been thinking about that just the once.
I
I
love it,
know.
right?
I'm
Just
learning
as
as
a
I'm going.
just yeah, well, I really want to pull back the curtain on expectations because I just think this is so common around like, well, I put it out there once and nobody replied, so they don't want it. And that
I
is
know.
not a fact. You have
Yeah.
to think about the email open rates on a good day are 25 to 35%. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
54 people, you do the math. We're talking 12 to 15 people that see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then of that, they have to then process and go, do I want that or not? Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes it's really uncomfortable to actually reply to somebody's. I find
Right.
that people are more intimidated to just hit the reply right back to Karen, but they're much more easy to hop onto a Zoom
Right.
registration page and put their name because it feels a little less intimidating.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that these are opportunities for you for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, I mean, I would be lying to you if it isn't my goal to have every single coach that's in my community host a workshop because I've just seen the fruits of that labor. And mind you, the first workshop I ever had, one person signed up and I got all the way through it and I realized they had left at some point and I didn't even know that they had left. And so we all start there, is my
Yeah.
point. But
Yeah.
then the next workshop has 2 people or 4 people. And then you start to kind of see what the possibilities are. And so that is one gap that I see inside your business is you're really fulfilling the top level, but the value piece is what people need to know and to like and to trust you enough to take a next step to actually physically give you my cash
Mm.
in order to say, okay, I'm ready. And sometimes I've had many clients who have literally attended my workshops for 2 years. They never miss a workshop,
Mhm.
right? But they have to be in that right place and in the pain enough and elevate you, in their brain have elevated you as authority enough to make that happen. And this is why showing up consistently despite the immediate feedback of like, I post once, I get a client. I have a webinar, I get a client. Like, we
Mm.
really have to work as entrepreneurs to get rid of that need for immediate gratification and ROI, because in the building phases, it's literally just that. Like, we're building know, like, and
Mm.
trust and establishing an audience to warm them
Yeah.
up to.
Yeah, and I was also thinking when I do my other Facebook lives in the Easter break, I'll do more of in 24 hours, in 12 hours, in 15 minutes, and all that jazz, and not just
Okay.
one pre-post.
And I want to clarify that for me, a Facebook Live is not a webinar.
No, no,
And
absolutely.
so the reason, yeah, and I want to just have like a discernment on why it's different is because again, Facebook Lives go back to the top tier. They don't have any skin in the game to consume it. So they
Okay.
haven't put a hand up necessarily
Yes.
and listened. They
Yeah.
might have said, "Oh, Karen's going to go live. I'll catch the replay." Where a webinar, they've had to physically sign up. So, A, you're growing your email list. This is an
Mm-hmm.
email list growth strategy. This is the primary way I grow my email list is through webinars and free trainings. And then second is they have the opportunity to opt in and they put a hand up. And depending on how you conduct the webinar, it might be Zoom status where we see each other, or excuse me, it might be more of a webinar status where you don't see their faces, but you're teaching to them live.
Yeah.
And it's very different than a Facebook Live or an IG Live because again, they don't necessarily have skin in the game. And what we want to do is create that skin in the game for
Mm.
them so that they are opted in. And then you can follow up from the workshop, right?
Yes. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, most people aren't necessarily buying live. It's actually in the email follow up sequences where the purchasing is happening. And
Yeah.
so that's the second piece I would say is understand that it's not one and done with the webinar. It's there's warm up to get them to show up, right? That in itself is step one. You got to get people to show up.
Yeah.
Average show up rates are about 25 to 35%. So if you have 100 people sign up, then that typically means that 25 to 35 would be live.
Yeah.
And then of that, the purchase is usually 3 to 10. So we just remember like from 100 people, it could lead to like 1 to 5 to 10 sales. And so just to have reasonable expectations with ourselves on what that looks like.
Yeah.
Um, Questions around that. So that's like something to consider for you moving ahead is tapping into that. So I took some time to go to your website, by the way, before this
Yeah.
call, and I have it pulled up here. And one of the second opportunities I have, which we all inside the BDC, as we record this, actually, we've been hosting our first implementation event of 2024, which it's all about messaging. And just to clarify, messaging is the way we speak to our clients in order to help them identify that they are a right fit for our coaching. And I think that messaging is just a constant growth opportunity for coaches because we need to really get to know our client over and over. And then we have to reform the way we speak or audit the way we speak to them so that we're speaking to them like in both the same language. Because sometimes what we do is we're so far in the journey, like you and your husband, you've already figured out this money stuff, you've been years nailing it, and sometimes we speak from that place instead of going back and remembering like what was it like when you and him were not on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you or your client actually say if you were sitting down and having a cup of tea with them or at the coffee shop? What would they be saying? So when I pop into your um uh to your web page, sorry, I I actually think this is just my opinion, so you take this as messaging. I think getting on the same financial page as my spouse is definitely words that they would use, so I definitely relate to that.
Okay.
um but when I look at some of the check marks, so first when I land on your page you have this, you know, a picture dropping a coin
Yeah.
in a piggy bank. Oh my gosh, can I talk? The fact that you help couples, I'd love to see just a picture of couples
Okay.
on there
Yeah.
or yourself. And I wanted to say something about that. Like, I help couples get on the same financial page so they stop
Mhm.
arguing about money.
Yeah.
Why is that different? Because if I land on your page right now, I see welcome to money and marriage. Are you living to paycheck to paycheck? Are you stressed about your current financial situation? Are you too scared to think about budgeting? Those aren't necessarily the things that people are saying in that pain, right? It's
Yeah.
cleaned up, it's tidied up a little bit, but we want it to be more relevant to them. But we
Okay.
want to know that this page is for me, and I'm not clear. Do you help women? Do you help men? Do you help couples? So that would be something that I would just offer
Hmm.
is like, can you be more authoritative on who you're serving and what that looks like?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Do you have
Yeah.
questions about that?
I thought so. That's you're going to the landing page. I'm just getting
The
the
landing page.
so there is a page. I can't remember what it's called. That says that. So I'll just do a bit of moving around.
Perfect. And then immediately I go to the work with me page.
Yes.
And that page says, my mission is to help people to budget and get a handle on their financials. And it starts with you. I love to see, and then it's an email me to get started. Again, if I am a person that's like scoping out your services, I'm not necessarily going to email you to get started. I am kind of like, oh, I'm scared. I don't know. I want to know like what does Karen have available? So I'd even love to see like the two services. You don't have to put the financial dollar amount on there if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But again, I help couples get on the same page without so they can, stop arguing about money
Yeah.
in two ways. And then it's like offer one, the budget quick start makeover.
Yeah.
And so then we're starting to position and shift the messaging to make it more compelling. So this is the third. So we've hit three parts so far, right?
Yeah.
Increasing value through some sort of way to come closer,
Yeah.
clean up our messaging a little bit to make it
Yeah.
more relevant. But the third thing is make our offers more compelling. We teach inside of our community just how to build out a no-brainer offer, right? And the offer is the big picture and it includes the way we market it and talk about it.
Okay.
So I could see how it's like the budget quick start makeover, and a brief description sounds something like, in less than 60 seconds or 60 minutes, you will walk away with an exact budget to help you and your spouse get on the same financial page.
Yeah. So I have a bit of
Do
that.
you see that
Yeah.
difference?
If you scroll down, so I need to move that up because people aren't seeing it.
Yes, exactly. I
Yeah.
didn't because I was like, okay, I go right to this. I see who I am, and I've already kind of checked out of the page, to be
Okay.
honest.
Then no, that's great. I
And
appreciate
so
your help.
I would love, yep, yeah, of course. And then the next, okay, so now I'm going to look here. And so the same thing, money mindset course for couples. I would love for this to sound more compelling too, because people don't like to buy mindset.
Okay.
They're like, that's hard. That takes a long time. Right? Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see how mindset? Yeah. So mindset, so many of my coaches in my community do mindset work. I do too, but I don't market my mindset work.
Okay.
It's a bit of that show them what they want, give them what they need when it's on the inside. So I would really think about a more compelling title, like get on the same page, um, money program, or
Great. Love it.
let's say grow your wealth. Um, grow your wealth program, a
Okay.
step-by-step guide for couples to get out of debt and grow their dream wealth or something
Great.
like that.
So use the word
So what we're
program
trying
like
to do is
course.
position and mark. I mean, for me, that's a greater representation because my association personally with course is it's passive consumption. I'm going to buy it and I'm going to do it at my same pace
Right. Okay.
or at my own pace. And what you described to me isn't a course, it's a hybrid style coaching experience. You could call
Okay.
it coaching experience, you could call it program, whatever word
Yeah.
really resonates with you. And really start thinking about the titling around it to make sure that it is more compelling.
Hmm.
When I look at your price points, I mean, you're not your price points are fantastic. I mean, I wouldn't question them. But what the only other thing that I see when I'm on here is you told me you've helped all these amazing people, your friends. What I'm missing is proof of that.
Yeah.
So unless I'm, I would definitely grab testimonials and
Mhm.
splash them all over this page.
Okay.
On the main page, because I don't see validation of your work. And so that's the
Okay.
other thing people want to know when they're purchasing an offer is they want to know, will this work for me? And so one way to increase the perceived likelihood of success is absolutely testimonials, whether it's a video testimonial they've left or just some copy that they offer you or a screenshot of text messages that they've sent, like,
Mhm.
Karen, you're amazing. Like, put it all on there, because
Yeah.
that is going to show, you actually do what you say you're going to do. So questions around that.
No, I'm making a mental note, and I'm going to be very busy this weekend.
and you don't have to do it all at once, but I think that, as we kind of wind down to a close around this, I've given you lots of things to think
Mm.
about. And I would say this session is more about kind of like a quick consultation, less about a lot of coaching, only because I'm giving you my thoughts and opinions based on, a bit of context in your business. But I think what that really exemplifies is the context and the snapshot that your possible client
Mhm.
will also experience if they just get like an overview, of your business. And so I think it's really important to remember that when we're in markets that are saturated, there's lots of people in the personal finance space, there's lots of people in the coaching space.
Mm.
Is how do we stand out? Well, we've got to show we have a framework and we have proven success, and we have a background and a history to support the claims that we're making.
Mhm.
And then the second piece is we just got to keep showing up.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so tempting when we put in the work for a year or two to say, like, should I just throw in the towel? And I think a lot of coaches do that. And I wouldn't be lying. Like, you got to be gritty in entrepreneurship,
Mm.
to have that. But we also have to make sure that we're providing the opportunity to build that trust and know, like, and
Mm.
trust
Yeah.
factor with our clients, and repeatedly. Like, you've probably heard me, I give the same workshop every Tuesday. It's not sexy. It's the same workshop. I'm doing it over and over. It's taken me some years to get to that place.
Mhm.
But imagine what would happen if you were able to have a workshop every month and invite your audience into it, and you began to test that practice. And then you gave an offer pitch at the end, and you pitched your $97, budget, and you maybe gave a $10 off, or
Yeah.
$20 off, option for those that signed up right then. Because for where you're at, for me, it's just about getting people in the door. I'd
Yeah.
rather you just like position some like offers to get people in, so that you
Mhm.
have that potential to work with people and start to build that testimonial bank as
Yeah.
well. Any final questions you have for me?
No, that was amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you. So, really, those three main points, just to recap them for you and our listeners, is really looking at that value gap between the free stuff and the offer, which is a really common struggle for so many. Looking at our messaging more deeply. Are we meeting the client where they're at? And thirdly, do we have a compelling offer, no brainer offer that is really going to like entice them so much so that they have FOMO? They're like, I have to have that, right? That's the kind of feeling that we want to create when they interact with our
Yeah.
offers. So, I'm cheerleading you, Karen. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
our first. Yeah, our first volunteer to complete the application. If you want to jump in Karen's seat, by the way, I'd love to have you as a listener. It's my way of giving back to our audience. And you can head on over to amanda-walker.com/free coaching. And there will be an application there. If you want to go to the show notes, feel free to click there, and I would love for you to complete that application so I can learn more about your business and see how I can support you in a live coaching session. So thank you guys as always for listening in, and go out and coach them up. And Karen, again, thank you.
Thank you.